one obvious thought occurs to me that every Japanese citizen or non-citizen on the islands of Oahu who meets these Japanese ships arriving in Hawaii or has any connection with their officers or men should be secretly but definitely identified and his or her name be placed on a special list of those who would be the first to be placed in a concentration camp in the event of trouble.
My name is Trevyr Takahashi Akagi. My great-grandfather was Masao Takahashi, also called Papu by his grandchildren. He was unjustly imprisoned on February 21st, 1942, and this is his testimony to Congress about his experiences as a Japanese American during World War II.
Mere hours after the bombing of Pearl Harbor, the FBI made their first arrests. Eventually, over 5,500 Japanese American men were detained, which led to the incarceration of over 120,000. 40 years later, Congress debated redress for these actions.
My name is Masao Takahashi. I am presently 87 years old. 40 years ago, I held a job as a cannery foreman for an Alaska fishery company. My earnings were considered high wages among my fellow immigrants. I lived in a comfortable house with my wife and 4 daughters. On the very day of my eldest daughter's 11th birthday, February 21st, 1942, I roused from my sleep very early in the morning. The FBI, along with 4 Seattle policemen, searched my house, ransacking closets. Apparently, I was part of the second group of men to be taken by the authorities. I was placed in the Immigration Detention Center. I am a perennial optimist, and the anxiety of my fellow inmates had little effect on me. I recall being confident that I would be released in time to eat birthday cake with my family that evening. However, when we were stripped naked and thoroughly inspected, my optimism was shaken by the very humiliation of the process. I assumed that cooperation would lead to a very early release and resolved to accept the inevitable. But that was not to be. The days were added on to days. Tense boredom, terrible food, and wild rumors were our daily preoccupation. After approximately a month and a half, my family came to the train station when a group of us were transferred to Missoula, Montana. I was allowed a few minutes to walk to the fence to say goodbye to them. I was at a loss to find comforting words. Boarding the train, I heard my daughters crying out, "Papa, Papa!" I cannot describe how I felt at that time. I can still hear the ring of their crying in my ears today. This was the first time it occurred to me that I might not see them again. From the camp in Missoula, I was shunted from place to place for 2 years. I remember one camp guard spoke Japanese and greeted us with "Yokoso oide kudasai mashita." The irony of that gracious welcome had a very depressing effect on us.
Like many who were arrested, Masao was being held without trial or formal charges. He was moved around from detention center to detention center. Communication was difficult, and any correspondence was not only monitored, but heavily censored.
From somewhere in Louisiana, I wound up in a camp in New Mexico. It seems I was kept constantly on the move with little rhyme or reason. It was from this camp in Santa Fe that I was able to make arrangements to go to Crystal City, Texas, where I would be reunited with my family. I had tried to imagine what their lives were like since their incarceration. My wife was never a physically healthy person, and with 4 small children of 11, 9, 5, and 1, I often wondered how she was really faring. My anticipation of seeing my family again became an obsession. My 2-year forced separation became more acutely painful just prior to our reunion. I feared the cruel punishment of possible cancellation. The reunion was the most joyful affair of my life. The girls had grown so much, I mistook my second daughter for my eldest. My wife had aged. The baby was now walking. Her prepared speech was, Utu-san watakushi wa midori, ukiku nata deshoyo, which translates to, Father, I am Midori. Am I big? She managed to make her speech well for me, but it was months before she stopped hiding from me. What a strange feeling, my own daughter afraid of me.
The Crystal City camp was set up for repatriation and to make exchanges for prisoners of war. The conditions were far better in this camp, as the U.S. government feared that the POWs would be treated badly if word was that Japanese citizens were being treated poorly. Masao had to initially agree to repatriate to Japan with his family in order to reunite with them in Crystal City.
My wife strongly favored the immediate repatriation to Japan upon release from camp, but I thought the prospects for employment were better if we returned to Seattle. Mama and I had many arguments regarding our future prospects, but I prevailed. I came home to Seattle in April 1946, and I came with both feelings of relief as well as fear. My bank account left with Mama was a balance of $4,000 before the war. It was reduced to $200 when we returned to Seattle 4 years later. I was never able to regain the financial comfort nor the social standing of my pre-war days. Today, aside from my old age infirmities, I am very comfortable in my late years. Despite the fact that I was unable to give my daughters the support I wanted to in their growing years, they have given me so freely of their time and resources to keep me comfortable. My beautiful 8 grandchildren are a great comfort to me. I am very happy that the American government is looking into the past. I think it takes a great country to admit its mistakes and make proper restitution. America has that greatness.
So what do you think of those last few lines there?
I think it shows, again, his optimism and how he, through all of this, holds America in high standards, as this testimony was part of America trying to make up for its mistakes. I don't think I could live through that and be as optimistic as he was. He had a very, I want to call it a superpower, to be that optimistic through something as harsh as that reality.
What would his crime have been?
That's the thing. I don't think he would have been accused of anything except for being Japanese, which, in my opinion, wouldn't hold in court.
And you're guaranteed due process, that's one, but also a fair and equitable trial. Do you think it's even possible for them to get a fair and equitable trial at the time?
I assume most of the people on the court were probably white Americans who were told Japanese Americans were bad and they shouldn't be listened to, so I feel like that was kind of a racial bias at the time for those court cases that did go to trial.
I feel it's a combination of wartime hysteria, power-hungry people,
Yeah.
Greed when they want to take over whatever things that the Japanese had, plus racism.
Yeah.
So, it was a whole combination of everything.
And I feel like fear could have been part
Absolutely.
of that as well.
Because of the war, it was wartime hysteria, yes.
Okay, where are we?
Right there.
Okay, お父さん、
お父さん、
私、
私
yeah, good. は、
は
that's me. 緑、
緑
です。
です。
大きくなったでしょ。
大きくなったでしょよ。
大きくなったでしょ。
大きくなった
なっ
でしたなった。
double T でしょ。
大きくなったでしょよ。
Good. We got it. Didn't I get big?
お父さん、私は緑です。大きくなったでしょよ。
See, you're learning Japanese already. I told you you could do it easily.